Welcome back, Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classics last non-classics. This is episode number 412 and Doubleshot number 333. Okay, I have two trades. One is a Batman trade, the other is a Superman trade. The thumbnail basically will show off, basically Batman and Superman in their rebirth costumes. Well, Batman's made his debut. His costume he currently wears now, that made his debut in Batman 50, while the Superman costume made his debut, I believe, was in Superman Rebirth. Yep. Alright, first up, it's Batman Detective Comics, Volume 2, The Victim Syndicate. Collecting issues 943 949. Now, some of you are probably thinking, where's 941, 942? Simple. It's in the Monster Man trade, which I'm kind of glad the fact those two issues were not collected in the regular Detective Comics trades, because it'd be kind of awkward, because I know DC did do this for the culling, and several other crossovers where they just collect the regular issues and don't collect the other stuff to cross with it, which I thought was quite stupid. Like, if you look at, let's say, what's a good example? Probably Grayson. Yeah, I'm sure that Grayson probably did not contain the entire Robin War crossover. That's a possibility, yes. But this has two stories in it. One is the Victim Syndicate, which is only just a 4-parter, surprisingly. Yeah, it's only 4 parts long. I think it's 4 parts. I think it's 5. It takes up issues 943 to 947. It's a quick 5-part story. It's actually a couple issues shorter than the first arc of this run. Now, Eddie Burroughs does the artwork up until around issue 440, 949, which he hasn't done it since then. But as other artists, you have Alvaro Marinez, Ben Oliver, Alberto, Ben Oliver, Carmen Carnito, Raul Ferreras, Ibar Ferreira, Sean Hanna, Julio Ferreira, and Seisman Karutsky. I think that's how you pronounce the person's name. Ben Oliver is also the colorist on here. The cover art is done. The collection cover art is done by Jason Fabok and Brad Anderson. It's a great cover. First, let's talk about the Victim Syndicate storyline, and my biggest problem with it. Okay, it's do I have a problem with the Victim Syndicate themselves? No, they're not a bad group of villains for them to fight, and they have good grievances basically fighting Batman. Basically, a lot of the stuff, now, when this thing starts, it starts in the aftermath of 2 different stories. First, the first story arc of this run, which is Rise of the Monster Man and Night of the Monster Man crossover. Yeah. And one thing now, because Tim Drake apparently died at the end of the first arc, yeah, he's actually still alive. He actually shows up at the start of the second arc in here. He gets replaced in the team by Batwing. Okay, fine. I'm glad the fact they added him to the team. And currently right now they recently added Azrael to the team, which I was very happy with that. And Eddie Burroughs basically was pleased the fact that he agreed with me that adding Batwoman was definitely a good idea. All this stuff now to add to the team is just Harper Row and not Man-Bat. Yeah, that's it. Just those 2 characters. Also, when this thing first starts, it's basically an aftermath. The Victim Syndicate don't show up to the end of the first issue, and basically Batman some parts of it basically he's interrogating Jacob Kane. Now, when Harper Row first shows up in the story arc, even the first time since Batman and Robin Eternal since she has shown up, where apparently she is retired. I don't get why she was retired. I like the fact she went to college. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. And here, she's a volunteer at Leslie Tompkins' free clinic, and she also gets injured in the first issue. Okay, fine. I also like the fact that Azrael takes part in the action here, though he doesn't officially join the team until the about 2 arcs after this one. That's when he joins the team, basically during the League of Shadows storyline, which is something that was referenced in the first arc. Victim Syndicate, one of whom has a connection to Clayface, who actually was an old friend of his, who actually was on his side when we first old friend base of Carlos. Now, all of them reveal exactly who they are. There's one called the Mute. The first victim's the only one they don't know who he is. Yeah. let me show you the Victim Syndicate. These are what they look like. Let's see if I can find a good page here. Here we go. This is the Victim Syndicate, making their first ever appearance in the DC Universe. This woman here, she's no friend of Clayface. Yeah. The one in the middle, that's First Victim. Since this arc is ended, nothing much has been revealed about him at all. Now they do reveal, I believe it's in this issue right here, they do reveal who these people are. Let's see if I can find a good page that explains who they are. Let's see. We have the First Victim, the Mute, Madam Crow, Mr. Noxious, Mudface, and I think that's it. Yeah. I really love this table. Yeah. The fact that Luke Fox had the table light up, which is nice. It basically looks something like out of King Arthur and Knights Round Table. My biggest problem with the story is having Stephanie Brown turn against the team and trying to have her do this stupid thing where she's now a hypocrite. She recently showed up in Wrath the Spoiler, where she wants to beg Batman to retire because Tim died. I did not like the fact that she pretty much turned against the team and pretty much turned heel, as the wrestler terms. A few people agree with me on this. Heck, I've spoken to Eddie Barrows about this when I'm in MidCon. I told him I did not like the fact Stephanie Brown basically turned heel. He didn't say anything much about it, but I think he kind of agreed with me on that. But I'm not sure why Tinief did this at all. This is by far a dumb move on the part of Tinief. They do change her mask. The only thing they do give her is a new mask, which covers up her whole face now. Yeah, I don't get why they had to remove her from the roster. Yeah, it's by far a dumb idea. And then she doesn't return until the Wrath the Spoiler story arc issue, which I believe was like 957, which is basically she returns 10 issues after the Victim Syndicate storyline wrapped up. Excuse me, where she's still being hypocrite. Oh yeah, and she's also sabotaging. She's basically frequently sabotaging the bat signal. Yeah, almost any time it's lit up, she is sabotaging it frequently. I'm like, seriously? Yeah, she's against vigilantes, and yet she's still being a vigilante. Yeah, it's kind of like James Tynion had no idea what to do with Stephanie Brown at all. And that's my biggest gripe with how James Tynion writes Stephanie Brown. When, let's say, when Scott Snyder wrote her, she was an interesting character. Same thing with Giovanni Valentine. She was an interesting character. But when Tynion writes her, solo-wise, he just doesn't have any idea what to do with her at all. Yeah. And the last two issues actually are really good. It's called Batwoman Begins. Simply put, the last two issues are a backdoor pilot to the Batwoman ongoing series, which is currently 5 issues in this current volume. Yeah, this two-parter leads into the Batwoman Rebirth issue and the current volume, which is 5 issues in, by the way. And issue 5 just came out just this week, and it's really, really good. I highly recommend reading it. It's by James Tynion IV, it's by Margie Bent and James Tynion IV. Though, I kind of think, though, why in the world is Tynion co-writing the book with her? Which, I'm like, does DC not trust Margie Bent basically write the book by herself? I kind of have to ask, why is he on the book for? I don't have any idea. I'll probably have to ask Margie Bent basically when I get a chance to meet her. But the stories in here are fine, are actually really good. I just don't like what he did with Spoiler. It just was a really dumb move on the part of James Tynion to do. That's my only criticism of this. Otherwise, though, the artwork is fantastic. The story is actually pretty good. I enjoy Victim Syndicate. I wouldn't mind if they revisited these characters in the future. As far as I know, I've seen upcoming solicits. There's no mention of Victim Syndicate at all. There's really no mention of the Batfry or not. Also, Batwing even suggests a name for the team. Call them the Dark Knights, which sounds like an interesting name for a team. Tim Drake shows up here a couple times. Basically, once the president tries to break out of his cell, another in the flashback. This is good. I'm going to give this 8.5 out. The only reason I take a half point off because of Stephanie Brown's stupid heel turn. All because Tim apparently died. That's the only reason why. But if Tim does come back, basically Batman probably snapped back into her senses. Okay? Alright, next up is Superman Action Comics, Volume 2. And this is by Dan Jurgens with Patch Zerker. It's Pat Shurker, Stefan Segovia, Tim Grumat, Art Zebit, Danny Miki, who's also the current artist of Batman on the Wardrobes and Riddles, Mark Morales, and Scott Hanna, who was also just on that book too. The cover art here is done by 5 artists did this cover. Did this collection, the original series covers. It's done by Clay Mann, Tomu Mori, Dan Jurgens, Paul Pelletier, Tony Corredos, and Andrew Lucas. Now, I'm kind of glad the fact that Dan Jurgens did this cover, because some people kind of forget Dan Jurgens is also an artist. I have met Dan Jurgens. He's an awesome guy to meet. And I told him I really enjoy his Action Comics run. Heck, I even enjoy his Batman Beyond run. Yeah, pretty much there's about a couple different stories in here. I mean, this book is not very long. It's only like, well, it only collects 4 issues of Action Comics. It's basically 963 to 966. The first, it's two-parters and the final issue of Justice League Volume 2. Which, in my honest opinion, and Tivy agrees with me on this one, this issue should have been the first volume of the series, because this issue was simply Action Comics Rebirth. Because this trade puts that issue at the very start of the trade. Yes. Which I've heard in deluxe edition, which collects this book and the first book, actually puts this issue first. Puts Justice League number 52 first, which I am very happy with that. Yeah. Two-parters. One is simply, who is the Clark Kent? It makes up some bogus story, which I think the reason why Dan Jurgens decided to do this right after he did the Doomsday story is because I'm sure a lot of people have asked him questions about it. He basically decided to have this two-parter. It's like, okay, we'll give an okay explanation for now. We'll explain him later. We'll put a needle in it for now. We'll explain this later, basically, in Superman Reborn. The last two is simply Lois Lane returning to the planet. Daily Planet. That's really the whole point. That's really the story of the last two-parter. It's her going back to the Daily Planet, and she just, she meets Lex Luthor. Well, this universe is Lex Luthor, though basically it's the same. Well, they kind of merged those two characters, her with their New 52 counterpart. She gets a chance to meet Superwoman for the first time, because, well, in the Superwoman book, New 52 Lois was killed off in the first issue. None of the issues in here are bad. Oh, in the Justice League issue, it's just basically Lex basically blinding the planet just so he can wear that cape. That's the only reason why. Also, I should point this out, though, Captain Marvel, this is one of his 2 appearances in the past year. Not kidding about this. Because aside from Justice League, since Rebirth happened, Shazam, aka Captain Marvel, has only appeared twice. First in the Justice League 52, and also in a cameo in Hellblazer Rebirth. As far as I know, I have not seen him pop up in any of our books. I'm kind of like, where the heck is he? Where is Billy Batson? It's an answer I'm sure a lot of people have been asking this question. Him along with Martian Manhunter, though he did show up in that one shot that recently we teamed up with Marvin the Martian. But as for Billy Batson himself, nope. Nobody at DC has bothered to answer that question of where the heck he is, because his last special appearance, aside from Justice League 52, was in Hellblazer Rebirth #1, where he appears in the last page of that particular comic book, and he has not been seen since then. Also, for some reason, Brian Hitch does not want him on the Justice League for some strange reason, because apparently he's off the team somehow, for some reason, and he's nowhere to be seen. Is there an on-panel explanation of why he's off the team? Nope. He is simply just not part of the roster for some stupid reason. But yeah, Brian Hitch is running something else altogether. But this is good. Just a little surprised. This one's actually a lot more thinner than the first trade, which that one contained, I think it was like 957 to 962. Yeah, last trade was 6 issues long. This one's only like the first volume collected 6 issues. This collects only 4. yeah, of course, next story after this is Men of Steel. That's volume 3, which that one's actually the second big story, because I kind of like the fact that Dan Jurgens put out these 2 quick 2-parters, which probably gives because the fact this series comes out every 2 weeks, it's basically a twice monthly book. Right now it's up to almost 980 right now. I think so, yes. Actually, it's almost about 970. I think it's 970. Yeah, but both stories here are good. Nothing wrong with them. I just kind of wish this was longer, but I get the reason why they decided to release Volume 2 with just these 4 issues, and not also probably throw in there the Men of Steel, because I think Men of Steel it's a 5 or 6-parter storyline. I don't remember. I have to look at the trade. But this is not very long. I'm glad the fact Justice League 52 is in here, but my criticism is it should have been in Volume 1, because Justice League 52 leads into Action Comics 957. But nope, it was not. They put it in here for some strange reason. I have no idea why. But thank you, Deluxe Edition, for fixing that by basically, when they combine both trades into one, Justice League 52 is put first, then it's Action Comics 957. I praise DC for doing that, but I ask again, why did they put in the second trade? No idea. Absolutely no idea. I think after Men of Steel, I think it's like one standalone issue and then Superman Reborn. Yeah, I think that sounds about right. But this is still good. I give this a 9 out of 10. This is actually amazing. I don't think any major characters aside from Superwoman shows up in there, which at this point it was still written by Phil Jimenez. Right now, Phil Jimenez is not on the book right now. Recently he did do the first arc for Super Sense, but the book has been handed off to Jorge Jimenez for some reason. I don't know why. But as far as I can tell, Phil Jimenez is not doing any books right now. There's no book with his name on it. Jurgens, on their hand, aside from Action Comics, is just doing Batman Beyond. And that's it. Only 2 books. I haven't seen the name on the art book so far. But yeah. So that's really it for this episode. Stay tuned for episode. Next episode is going to be episode 413 and Doubleshot number 334, which I'm going to do. I think it's going to be 2 Spider-Man trades. Okay, but until then, I will see you there. Bye.